When you look at your offensive line now, the one that you're practicing with right now, what do you think? Is it a work in progress, and what's the chemistry like there?
I think that's been the biggest, I don't want to say surprise, but really surprise for me is the chemistry that they built so quickly. When you have a lot of new guys, I mean, in that whole entire offensive line room, and then with our starting five, a lot of new guys on that group, to see them kind of come together, they're hanging out, they're having dinners, they're eating with each other every single time I'm out here at the lunchroom here. And they've become best friends. And so they've already started to build that chemistry. And obviously there'll be bumps here and there where they're learning how we do things here compared to where they were at. But you can see that fight and that passion that they have for this game. And I think that's going to, I mean, they're already really good, and I think it's going to get even better as the season goes on.
Peter King with Patrick Mahomes at Chiefs camp, one of the stops on Peter's training camp tour. Huge changes on the offensive line. Steve Levy and company last Friday night on the Chiefs-Cardinals preseason game pointed out that only one team since the merger that went to the playoffs has had 80% turnover on the starting offensive line, and that would be the Denver Broncos after they won the Super Bowl in 2015. Well, now the Chiefs are doing it, and the Steelers, by the way. What do you think is going to happen with this offensive line? All those new names and faces trying to figure out how to block for a quarterback who you never know when you can release and go down the field, because you never know what he's going to do back there with the football, running around with his hair on fire, finding an open receiver.
If I had to guess right now, Mike, the starting Kansas City offensive line on opening day will be three guys who've never played a snap in the NFL before. Creed Humphrey at center, Trey Smith at guard, and Lucas Niang at right tackle. And I'm probably mispronouncing his name. Sorry, Lucas. But if you look at those three players, that to me is exactly what Brett Veach, the general manager of the Chiefs, meant when he walked up to Patrick Mahomes walking off the field after getting hit or significantly pressured on 29 pass drops in the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs getting their rear ends kicked. Brett Veach's first words to Patrick Mahomes were, "We're going to get the line fixed." And that drove everything the Chiefs did in the offseason, from paying $16 million a year to a guard, Joe Thuney, to drafting a new center in the second round, Creed Humphrey, and then with their last pick in this draft, taking a guy who legitimately they thought, because he had heart arrhythmia and he dropped like a stone in this draft, Trey Smith, he could be the biggest prize in the day 3 of this draft this year, because I think he starts opening day for the Chiefs. So the Chiefs basically have laid it on the line and said, in essence, because they're probably going to start all 5 guys on the line different. It's not going to be 80%. I think there's a good chance it's going to be 100%.
Chris Sims kind of sounded a mini alarm after the preseason game on Friday night. He thinks that Patrick Mahomes may be moving differently, maybe doesn't have the same burst. Now it's still the preseason, but that toe, Peter, it had to have been seriously messed up. He had surgery just a couple of days after Super Bowl 55 when he tried to will the team into the end zone. Some of the plays we saw from him in that Super Bowl were spectacular. They finished with incomplete passes, but there's an incomplete pass, uncharacteristic from Patrick Mahomes on Friday night against the Cardinals. Another pass that he completes in past years. So, again, it's preseason. It doesn't matter. But, maybe some cause for concern. Look, there's one that got floated over the head of a receiver. Peter, I don't know. We've gotten so accustomed to Mahomes being high-end spectacular. If you take a little bit away from his running ability, if you take a little bit off, now this is vintage Mahomes. He finds a guy open across the middle after scrambling and buying time. But I think that it's a fragile thing where if you just take away a little bit of his running ability, maybe you do have a different quarterback.
He did tell me something pretty interesting, I thought, that he said, because basically if you look at the way that they played late in the year, remember that game they had against Atlanta where they had to struggle to win, I think 17-14 in overtime. And, they had a bunch of games at the end where they really were stumbling around. And Mahomes made the point to me, we need to attack from the first series on. He said, I don't know what it was last year, but we just weren't good for complete games as the season wound down. So, I do think, look, I think the Chiefs are vulnerable. I still think they're the best team in the AFC, but I also think that they're vulnerable. And on the right day, I think Buffalo with its mind right, maybe Cleveland. And Mike, I got to tell you, Pittsburgh and Baltimore both, even though Baltimore's got a slew of injuries, they were both a little bit better than I thought on the camp trail.
And, it's been kind of the story for the Chiefs the past couple of years. They'll stumble around for half of a game, and then they'll find the gas pedal and score 28 points in 7 minutes. That's why even when it's, 15, 20 points or more of a margin against the Bucs in Super Bowl 55, you don't turn it off because you've seen this movie before where the Chiefs can score a ton of points in the literal blink of an eye.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.